Hey guys, it's Krystal Lee Moore Lucier here, also known as your Home Sweet Home 519 Realtor, Krystal Lee Moore. And this is Realtor Life, a fun and entertaining look at life in the trenches as a real estate professional in Ontario. I'm so happy you're here. Today we're going to be talking about the program Thinking into Results by Bob Proctor and Sandy Gallagher. So, number one, why are we talking about it? We'll go into that. Number two, what is it all about? And number three, what's it really going to do? What could it do in your life? So, as an introduction, it is a really cool program. So, what's it all about? It is about a program based upon the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So, Bob Proctor, years and years and years and years ago, he's actually not with us anymore, unfortunately. But when Bob was younger, he found himself in this kind of dead end job, kind of drowning in debt, not making enough money. And a friend of his who was working with him in Toronto gave him some advice. And he suggested that he start reading. And so he chose to read Think and Grow Rich, and he read it every day. He found an abridged version by Earl Nightingale, and he actually listened to it in his car on a record player. So thank goodness we don't have to do that with record players. We can just stream on YouTube or on Spotify. If you're listening on Apple Music or Spotify or YouTube Music, thank you so much for being here. Very excited that we're on all of these platforms. But there is an abridged version of Think and Grow Rich by Earl Nightingale, and you can listen to it every day. And one of the things that he talks about in this program is he talks about really digging things into our subconscious so that we can then affect our lives. And so why is that important? When we look at all the things that are possible in our lives, it is just mind-blowing. But what happens a lot, and Tony Robbins says this too, what people can do is limitless. And what they will do, that's when we run into a bit of a problem. So with the program, Bob actually breaks it down into 12 lessons, and he basically makes you really dig into who you are, what you really want, and then makes you figure out how you're going to get those things by showing you how to almost trick your mind into believing that you already have the things that you want. And that then will change your actions, which will then change your results, and on and on and on. And as a testimonial to this program, I did it back in 2015. I had read Think and Grow Rich. It was a book I got from my dad. And I didn't read it for a long time because I'm one of those people that likes to say I'm not money focused. And that's kind of a disservice to me and my business and my success, because being focused on serving people and helping people, you can do that and still be okay to make a good living doing it. And sometimes it can feel uncomfortable because we have all of these lies that we've believed throughout our childhoods. And there can be a lot of really uncomfortable beliefs around money. But at the end of the day, it's okay to want to be good and useful and serve others and lead and be rich. It's completely okay. And so all that to say, the book is about becoming wealthy. And in all of Napoleon Hill's advice, I think money is the very bottom of his list on your journey to wealth. Wealth is a lot about so much more than money. But when we really look at the program, he talks about taking goals. So you really pick some goals that are kind of things that you really, really want, but you don't know how you'll get. So maybe it's buying a house, maybe it's buying a second house, maybe it's traveling the world, maybe it's traveling the world first class, like whatever it is. Maybe it's starting a new company, maybe it's speaking on stage or being a best-selling author, maybe it's inventing something that everyone needs. Whatever it is, that's going to be in your heart and in your mind. But he talks about taking it from a dream or a fantasy and then bringing it into an actual theory, and then bringing that theory into two questions. Number one, am I able? And number two, am I willing? So am I willing to pay the price to get where I'm going? And the price might be that you're going to start arriving places early to do extra work, or it might mean that you're going to take time to do extra phone calls. You might work an extra hour. You might reach out to a few more people. Whatever it is, you need to make that decision that you're willing to pay the price to get what you want. And that is when your theory turns into a fact. So that goal becomes something that is absolutely going to happen. And he has a lot of really great exercises where you get to write down what you want in your personal life and what you want in your business life. And really a lot of opportunity to brainstorm and go through it. And the problem is a lot of the times we'll get all this motivation. So my last podcast, we talked about conferences and how you can get so pumped up and so addicted to the conference itself that you're not going and implementing. So same thing with this program. You have to do the work. You have to go and make the lists. You have to dig in and figure out exactly what is it that is going to make your heart sing, what's going to set your soul on fire, and then what are you going to do anything to get. So that's very important. And the program really helps you dig into it. And it's actually designed to listen to over and over and over. I believe you can still purchase it at online if you go to, I'd say Google Thinking into Results, Bob Proctor and Sandy Gallagher. If you cannot find it, please reach out and I will help you out. Okay, so then we go into this whole knowing doing gap. So he talks about the fact that a lot of the times we might know what to do, but we don't do it. So same thing, we know the things to do, but we don't do them. And he really digs into our subconscious and psychology and helps us figure out anyway, what exactly is going on. So if his example is like, if you're trying to lose weight, but you're eating cake, what is happening there? And so you know that you shouldn't be eating the cake if you want to lose weight, but you are eating it. And I know Tony Robbins talks about pain versus pleasure. So in that moment, the pleasure of eating the cake outweighed the pain of being overweight. So it seems simple, but if we could crack that code, I feel like we may bankrupt the entire fitness and diet industry. So we won't quite go there yet, but let's get a few of us off of that treadmill and off of the hamster wheel. So what he talks about is the fact, and this is very much kind of like when Damon West was talking about be a coffee bean. And thanks to my mom for pointing the link out for these two things, because I was trying to figure out and she mentioned it right away. So when Damon West talks about be the coffee bean, so don't let the world change you. You want to change the world from inside out, not outside in. And so when we talk about what happens in our conscious and our subconscious, so our conscious mind is always taking in things like what we hear, what we see, what we smell, what we touch, what we taste. That's why we talk about making sure to protect your mind and making sure that the things that you're putting into your mind, whether it's what you're reading, what you're watching, who you're spending time with, all of these things. So they all go into your conscious and then they go into your subconscious. And from your subconscious, that's where those actions come from. So what we want to do is almost life hack our subconscious so that we can actually be in control of what's happening with those actions, because we want the results that we want. We don't want results just to be handed to us. And it's very important. So when we think about that coffee bean, how can you affect the world around you? And how can you step away from the world affecting you? And it's almost kind of like that when people say you should respond, not react. It's the same thing. So very well thought out responses are almost always going to make you feel better than a snap reaction. So he gets into things about our paradigms and the things that we believe, and then the things that we want to not believe or that are not serving us. So he has an exercise, and I've done this with other things too, where you write down a result you're getting in the negative. So you write it down the way it is. Maybe you're upset about your relationship. Maybe it's your job. Maybe it's your income. Maybe it's a friendship. Maybe it's that you don't travel enough. Whatever you want. You write that down in the negative. And then you take another piece of paper and you write the opposite in the present tense. So let's just say it is that you don't love your job. So you say, I'm not feeling fulfilled at my job. I'm pretty upset about it. I'm always looking for ways to stimulate my mind outside of work because I don't like going to work. Let's say that's it. So then on the other piece of paper, you'd write, I'm so happy and grateful now that I have a rewarding career where I get to feel engaged and impactful and useful every single day. I love going to work. I love my colleagues. And at the end of the day, I feel like I've made a difference. So that's just one example. And then you take the negative one and you burn it. Like you actually light it on fire. Safety tip, don't do it anywhere in your home unless you have a safe spot. So if you have a fire pit, that's good. If you have a metal container outside away from any foliage or fences, go for it. You can also rip it into a whole bunch of pieces, and imagine it's on fire. Whatever you want, just please don't burn your house down. So that's a kind of cool thing. And you just look, what are you going to add? What habits will you add in? So he talks about that person that loves their job. How do they act? How would they be? So they may come in early. They may go out of their way to bring coffee for a colleague. They might make those extra calls. They might volunteer for projects. Whatever it is, become that person because that person has the job you want. So just bridge that gap. And it might even be that you're getting up early. So I will tell you, for me, realtor life has really changed. I say changed. I've never been kind of good at getting up early in the morning. And when you get to set your own schedule, sometimes it can be tough. I'm very grateful because my husband has to get up every morning. So I get up and I help him with coffee. I took off the month of July. He was not very happy. But I get up in the morning, I make him coffee, and that's great. But what if I could get up a little bit earlier and do my workout and read my book and everything before he gets up? So if I got up at 6:30 instead of 7:30, I could do all those things and still make him coffee in the morning. So wouldn't that be great? So just what does that mean for you? What could you do that's a little bit different? And then he talks about knowing who we are. So a big piece is, and it's kind of cool, my mom's doing this right now, just leaning into to hobbies. So when you work for a long time or you're dealing with stuff, it can be hard to just remember what it means to have fun, what makes your heart sing. And so with time, when you can actually reflect, just sit down and think about it. And it's harder than it sounds. So Bob actually suggests lighting a candle. Again, be careful, people, but light a candle and just stare into it. And from across the room, stare into it and just try and think about you and what do you really love doing? Maybe think of memories. I've done that before where you go back and I love writing down all the times that I have laughed so hard I've cried. Things that just really moments and memories with people where I feel free and I'm happy, and it's just, I could just take that moment in a bubble and it makes my heart so happy. So what are those things for you? And when you look at what you love doing, you can try to integrate that into what you're doing every day. So I love helping and guiding and serving, and I really do that every day. But are there other things that I could bring in as well? And at the end of the day, he also talks about can we see ourselves as more than we are? So this is kind of like Tony Robbins again with the temperature, the thermostat in the room. So if you believe that you're supposed to be a certain weight at a certain income and a certain level of happiness, if you really believe that, your life will create that for you. But if you really believe that you are supposed to be super fit and looking sexy and you're supposed to be crushing it at your career and you have tons of friends and you have so much energy and life is amazing. If you really believe that, life's going to give you that. So it's a really cool program. Those are just a little summary of the first 6 lessons, but like this is some powerful stuff, very powerful. And I know for me, it helped me buy a house, and I didn't think it was even possible. I had just I was renting, I was a new realtor, I was trying to figure it all out, and then bam, I was able to buy a condo. And I was able, a few years later, when we got married, I turned that condo into our house here in London. And by selling and buying, not with a magical wand, but it'd be cool if it was with a magical wand. But yeah, like it is very cool to see how something can actually work. So if you have time, definitely check out Earl Nightingale's summary of Think and Grow Rich. I would give Think and Grow Rich a read though, because I mean, there are so many things. I know we're busy. I know everyone's busy all the time. And with our phones and social media, it never stops. But go for a walk, go for a swim, go do something, and just let your mind wander. You can listen to Think and Grow Rich on Audible if that's easier for you. But my exercise is I try to read 10 pages a day of a business book. Just 10 pages. You'll be surprised how many books you can read by just making it 10 pages. And this program is amazing. Like any program, you have to use it, but it is so refreshing and I definitely recommend it. So again, like I said, if you cannot find it, reach out to me. I will help you find it. And I hope you all have an amazing, amazing day and an amazing week, and that you are just really leaning into your personal power. We can do anything. And as realtors, we kind of our work is cut out for us as far as really having to be our best us, but we also get to benefit, and our people around us get to benefit when we lean into being our best us. So I believe in you, and I hope you guys are having the best year. And if you're not, I hope that you will have the best year. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.